in the world, and today we are talking about Vegan Makeup Monday. And today we're going to talk about 3 problematic vegan makeup companies and why I either do or don't support them or am really confused as to what to do. So, number 1, Kat Von D. Kat Von D Beauty is a beauty brand that has went fully vegan, I think in 2017. I'm not sure, but I will look it up and put it on the screen for you. She obviously, if you don't know, Kat Von D is a makeup artist who started on a reality show called Miami Ink, and she then got her own show and then came out with her own very sort of alternative, kind of gothy, tattoo artist inspired makeup and cult classic for so many years. I love the liquid lipsticks that I have been gifted from people, and I am so mad that I can't buy the Lolita palette because of her craziness. If you don't know, Kat Von D last year decided to announce that she was not going to vaccinate her newborn child. Now, when that happened, one of the reasons she cited was because the ingredients were not vegan, which is true. Many vaccines have animal ingredients in them. And I myself am an ethical, and so I started off as a health vegan and then became an ethical vegan after I watched like all the documentaries. And if you ever want to be cured of wanting to eat meat or dairy, just watch Earthlings. It's fantastic, but also will break your heart. So I became an ethical vegan after that. I understand not wanting to contribute to harming animals. I get that. I personally think that being an ethical vegan means doing the least harm. Now, I really care about animals. I care about animal welfare, but I also care about immunocompromised people. I believe, and I'm going to get in so much trouble for saying this, that immunocompromised people trump animal welfare. And I will vaccinate my children when and if I have them. I believe that it is a public health hazard not to vaccinate your children. The science is clear. There is no link between vaccinations and autism. I will say it again for people in the back. There is no link between autism and vaccinations. There is no link. And the doctor who alluded to it or said that there was his license has been revoked, and the one study that ever said that it has been pulled from that journal because their results could not be replicated, and it was proven that he just made it up. So please follow the advice of your pediatricians. Please follow the advice of the medical community and vaccinate your children. It is incredibly important for people who are immunocompromised. There are people in our society and in our world whose immune systems are too compromised to be able to get vaccines, and that's why it's so important for those of us who can get vaccinated to get vaccinated. I will leave a link in the description box below to a couple of different videos that explain that vaccines are safe. They have been for over 100 years, and I can't believe that we're having this argument. So I do not support Kat Von D Beauty because I think that she has used a huge platform to spew outrageous and dangerous information. That's something that I think you have put people in extreme danger. Being a vegan means doing the least possible harm to me. It means that I am going to drive a car that has tires that are made of rubber that may contain animal products, but there isn't really an alternative for that. It means that sometimes there's going to be people who sneak animal products into my food because I'm a vegan. That is not something I can control. I can only control the things that I can control. I cannot control whether or not vaccines have animal products in them. I can lobby and ask for them to make derivatives that do not contain animal products. And that is something I think that is a conversation that we should be having, instead of, well, no, we're not going to vaccinate because there's not vegan, all the ingredients aren't vegan. That's not an option. So if you are a decent human being, not vaccinating is not an option for you. If you do not vaccinate your children, you are selfish. You are putting everyone else at risk ahead of your own preference. And I don't have anything else to say about that. And that's why I don't support Kat Von D Beauty. So the second problematic beauty company on the list is Lime Crime. If you don't know, Lime Crime has had a couple of different scandals that I know about. The first one was where the owner at the time, Doe Deer, from what I understand, there was a news story that broke, and she had not paid for the security on the website, or hadn't paid for some type of security. So when people were entering in their credit card information, their debit card information, there was a huge hack and got stolen. I don't know if it was because they hadn't paid for this extra security level, or if it's just that the website would have been hacked anyway. Now, I don't think a company can control whether or not they get hacked. You can have all the levels of security. There are people working around the clock trying to get one over on all levels of security. It's not a question of if you're going to get hacked, it's a question of when. Now, the response to the hacking was atrocious. She was not offering people any kind of assistance or help, and was just completely unapologetic about the entire incident, and was not responding to customer inquiries. People had entire paychecks stolen from them, and was not handling it very well, and was kind of lashing out at her customers. And I can understand that you yourself did not steal the money, but you were a keeper of that money. You were a keeper of that information, and if you didn't do every single thing in your power to prevent that from happening, I can see why people would think you were culpable. The second thing is that Doe Deer had posted pictures, or there were pictures uncovered of herself in a Hitler uniform. And she apparently said that it was a joke, and that I think she tried to say she had ties to a Jewish grandfather or something like that, which I never buy any of that. It's just, I don't care. And so I wasn't I didn't really know about Lime Crime at the time, and wasn't really I wasn't really interested in anything they had. But she got taken over by a larger corporation, and so she's now just, I think, a creative director or something like that. And the truth is, probably right in the middle of me finding out all of this on YouTube, I had already ordered a Venus 2 palette from Ulta. I had heard about the hacking scam, but I hadn't heard about the whole Hitler issue. Hitler costume issue. And so I had ordered it, but I ordered it through Ulta because I trusted Ulta with my information, but I did not trust their website with my information. So I used points and I got it. And the truth is that I like Lime Crime's formula, but I don't think it's the best that I've ever had. I don't think that. Truthfully, I prefer ColourPop. I'm wearing ColourPop's Just My Luck palette today, and I just prefer ColourPop's formula. The shimmers are better, the mattes are better and creamier, and the reason that I wanted the Venus 2 palette was because it had some grungy colors that were vegan. Well, more and more ColourPop, I think this is the first ColourPop palette to be vegan, the first eye palette to, at least that I know of. But I mean, if they come out with more and more vegan palettes, then I will just buy from ColourPop. I am conflicted about whether or not I should continue to purchase from Lime Crime, because I know that Doe Deer is still there and still receiving paychecks from the company, and so that means my dollars are directly supporting somebody who has this misbehavior. But does that extend to purchasing things from, secondary retailers like TJ Maxx and Marshalls? So it's kind of like an ethical gray area that I'm not really sure about, because once TJ Maxx and Marshalls have purchased the items, like, well, they're already there, and I'm not, those dollars aren't going directly to Lime Prime or Doe Deer. But then that then incentivizes them to keep purchasing and making money, and Lime Crime making money from TJ Maxx and Marshalls. So you can see how this is kind of confusing. I honestly don't think that I'm going to purchase anything directly from Lime Crime, and I'm still on the fence about whether or not I should purchase anything from secondary retailers. How do you feel about purchasing problematic brands from a secondary retailer? Is that something that you think kind of circumvents giving money directly to a company you don't approve of? Or do you think that you really should just completely cut ties and not do it all? I really truthfully want to hear your opinion on this. Okay, so number 3. And I'm even afraid to even mention this one, because if you mention this person's name, their followers will just say terrible things about you, no matter what. So I am conflicted about Jeffree Star Cosmetics. Many of their products are vegan. I guess his Morphe brushes that just came out some had animal hair in them, which I thought was weird, because most of the products are vegan. His palettes are all vegan, and the liquid lipsticks are vegan. So when I first saw Jeffree Star's YouTube channel, I really thought it was a really kind of fun, energetic person, and really kind of, I thought he was just really sort of fun, and I liked that in someone, and was, just kind of having fun, playing with makeup, and was a really interesting kind of YouTuber. And I didn't know anything about all of the stuff that I do now. And so just based on that, I subscribed to the channel and kind of watched makeup videos, and I actually learned a lot of different stuff about, I think the first video I ever saw was duping a La Mer foundation for a drugstore foundation, and then I found out they had his own cosmetics brand, and that the palettes were vegan, and I had just recently was switching my makeup preferences to vegan brands, and I was really excited to kind of order liquid lipsticks and maybe get a palette. And then the whole issue with Manny MUA and Laura Lee and all of this stuff happened, and he was accused of racism. And then I saw his video about what he had said and done in the past regarding these accusations of racism. And link the video down below. The comments are disabled on this video, and I mean, I can understand why. I do. I mean, not the comments won't be disabled on my video, but on the one I'm linking of Jeffree Star's, they are disabled, and I can understand why, because people sometimes don't understand nuance. Just like my point is that I did watch his video about how he had to walk through the world in a way that, as a man in makeup, as somebody who was different, as somebody who was alternative, and the people who lashed out at him, or the people who were trying to demean him, and that he would try to demean them right back, and that there are videos of him doing so, and videos of him being kind of saying racist things and saying hurtful things about people of color. And watching that video, I understand what he meant, and where he said things, someone made ad hominem attacks about him, and so he made ad hominem attacks about them, and so was trying to sort of counterpunch and hit back and hit them where they were, and I get that. I get that. And that, I think you can say, okay, it wasn't right, but I can understand what that person did. And I think there really has to be a nuance between somebody who is, says untoward things, and then somebody who works to systematically make it harder for people of color, to vote, to do anything, tries to make life harder for people of color. I don't think Jeffree Star is a bad person. I think Jeffree Star made some bad decisions. And that's what I'm really struggling with about focusing. If it was just that, then I could say, every single person has a past. I have a past, and it's not all pretty. And I'm sure any single one of us, if I examined your life with a microscope, you wouldn't pass the purity test either. None of us would. And so I'm not ready to cancel anyone over this. I'm not ready to, just like, even if Kat Von D came out and said, hey, I was wrong, you should vaccinate your children, or, then I would say, okay, like, let's do this, but she'd have to, like, really get on a platform and be like, no, vaccinate your kids. With Jeffree, I think it's a little bit different because he did make that video and he did address this issue, and I feel like you can only apologize so many times, and it's like either people believe you or they don't. And he acknowledged in that video that he had anger issues and that he, lashes out. And as someone who grew up, heavy my entire life, I get that. I get always being on the defensive. I get that. The thing that I think is harder for me is that, like, on Twitter and other social media platforms, when you are someone who's so successful, when you're someone who's you've reached the top of your game, and, like, nobody can say that Jeffree Star isn't talented, isn't a good business person, and that isn't, a very aesthetically pleasing person. Like, nobody can say that. No one can say that Jeffree Star isn't all of those things. So, to me, kind of punching down and kind of meeting every single criticism from people who, in the end, like, really don't matter. Like, my opinion is not going to cost Jeffree Star any money. Like, at all. Like, nobody cares about what I think. But at the same time, like, I've seen interactions on Twitter and screenshots of, like, a Twitter conversation where people will, not just Jeffree Star, and the thing is, I know you can't control your followers, and if you have millions of followers that are dedicated to you, like James Charles and Jeffree Star, there's just no way that you can control that many people. You just can't. And even if you say, like, hey guys, ease up on this person, like, don't do that, you can't guarantee that they're going to listen to you. But when you specifically go and engage with someone who is, a young makeup artist, or someone who's just trying to get attention, or someone, and instead of just ignoring them and letting it go, but going after them and going in on it, to me, I mean, I understand that a lot of big YouTubers get people who are, like, trying to, socially climb and get on to, like, and oh my god, there's so many motorcycles today, and try to get they're trying to use the other person's hard work and followers to try and, like, make their own career. And I don't think that's the way to go, and I know how that might be annoying. And the truth is, Jeffree Star probably didn't know that this person was a young person, didn't know anything about them, because a Twitter handle doesn't give you an age bracket. Like, you don't see that. And I can understand why you might lash out at someone and say, like, why are you trying to use this for self-promotion? Like, how dare you do this? This was because he was actually in this Twitter exchange, like, congratulating a young woman about getting a makeup artist job, which is fantastic and cool. I think it's really cool that he reached out and did that. But the level of response, I'm not saying that he didn't have the right to respond, but I feel like the level of response was at a 12, when it really could have been like at a 6. Like, you know, I'm annoyed that you're doing this, like, please stop. And, you know, then that person, you know, if they continue to do it, I could understand it escalating. I honestly wish like I could sit down with some of these people and just talk to them about, like, hey, this and this thing happened, and I really kind of want to know what you think about this. Like, would you have done something differently? Would you have reacted differently? Or no, like, do you think this is totally legitimate? Do you think this is totally okay? And so, again, I'm kind of going back and forth about Jeffree Star Cosmetics. Like, I don't really know where I stand. I think that all of these people are problematic, but the only one I definitely am not supporting until she comes out in favor of vaccinations is Kat Von D. Because whereas I think Jeffree's behavior really only affects him and his fans, I don't know that the claims of racism are true, or if it was literally just a response to someone else having a different form of discrimination against him. I don't think you can say that Doe Deer has any excuse for what she did. I think it's just in bad taste. I don't think that there's ever a time where you should dress up as Hitler, and so I really don't want to give her any of my money. So yeah, I think I'm much more conflicted about Jeffree Star than I am about Kat Von D or Lime Crime. Because I feel like Jeffree Star is a real person who, I mean, the other two are as well, but I feel like Jeffree Star is a person who admits that he is flawed. He admits that he is someone who, you know, is not the perfect person, and says, hey, I'm working on it. And in that video, I honestly think that he meant it. And I just don't think that somebody would take the time to do that if they didn't, because his brand isn't in trouble. Like, even before he did that, like, his brand wasn't hurting, and he's got a cult following. Like, he didn't need to address it at all. And so the fact that he felt like he needed to, so that people would see him for who he was and explain what that time in his life was like and be vulnerable, that goes a long way with me. And again, I'm nobody. Like, I don't, like, Jeffree Star cannot relate to me. Like, do I support brands that are not fully vegan but have vegan products instead of these all vegan brands? Or do I overlook these other things and stand with them because they're vegan? And I think it has to be on a case-by-case basis, and I think you have to make your own decision about that too. I feel like I want to revisit this issue in November, because Black Friday is when a lot of, like, brands have releases and sales, and so I feel like that's a long enough time to see if it's a brand I want to support, if it's one that upholds my personal ethical ideals. And so what do you personally think about Jeffree Star, Lime Crime, and Kat Von D as vegan makeup companies? Are these people that you support? Are these people who you're kind of waiting to see, like I am? Or are these just complete no-goes for you? I would love to know in the comments down below, lovelies. I hope you guys have an amazing day. If you want to see more videos like this, please, if you want to see more videos like this, hit the like button, or if you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down button so I know you don't like it, and hit like or hit subscribe if you want to see more of my content.